Joining me now, Richard Goldberg, former director for countering Iranian weapons of mass destruction at the NSC under President Trump and senior advisor at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Thank you very much for talking to us right now. Let's talk about the war to the north. Apparently, there is a ceasefire right now. Hezbollah has ceased to fire rockets into northern Israel. Is there some sort of diplomatic solution at all between Israel and Hezbollah, especially with Iran's dirty hands in the midst?
Well, I think very important for all of us to understand, we've seen the horror show that has come out of Gaza because of Hamas, and you've seen the rockets pouring down from Gaza for years. Hezbollah's arsenal is 10 times what we have seen from Hamas. Greater lethality, greater range, the ability to do a lot more destruction in Israel. You've seen the Israelis evacuate towns on the northern border. Those people are not going to go home so long as that threat remains intact there on the northern border. And so while we may see a tactical play here by the Iranians to try not to induce the Israelis while there's a pause in Gaza to open up a further front in the north, and we know from Washington, the White House has been putting out a lot of signals to the Israelis not to escalate in the north. At some point, that front will open up, whether it is by Hezbollah and the Iranian order or by the Israelis, because I don't really know how after they're done in Gaza, they can allow that threat to remain on their northern border.
The higher the civilian casualties among the Palestinians, the greater the pressure will be on by Arab countries on Hezbollah to fire back at Israel. So it's sort of like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Israel has its every right to defend itself, and that is what this war is all about. But the more that they defend themselves, unfortunately, civilians will be lost in this tragedy, not by the fault of Israel, by the fault of Hamas. But unfortunately, if they continue this war, and Benjamin Netanyahu has said after the ceasefire, the war will rage on, if civilian casualties continue, which is inevitable, that means Hezbollah is going to have to come in once again, possibly harder, with the whole Arab world watching.
Well, let's keep in mind, I mean, you just heard Lucas talk about the fact that we have this Thai hostage release as well.
Yes.
Interesting, that was negotiated by Thailand directly with Iran, and Hamas is releasing those Thai foreign workers at Iran's direction. So let's remember who is behind all of this ultimately. The Qataris who are negotiating this in Doha, they're but an agent of Hamas, a sponsor of Hamas, a partner of Iran. Ultimately, Iran is pulling all the strings. And so Iran has a playbook here. Remember, this is a regime that is still developing a nuclear weapons capability, long-range missiles. They've developed all of these threats around the region. They call it a ring of fire. They're directing threats against American forces. They want to see this de-escalate with Hamas surviving, with their threat in the north intact. And so I think Iran is still holding Hezbollah back to see if they can get this hostage negotiation, the psychological warfare, the international pressure so great that they get the Israelis to have to basically lose this war by their own unilateral ceasefire. And so what we've heard from Netanyahu saying that he's going to restart the operations after this pause is very important to complete the mission of destroying Hamas, not allowing Iran to play this for Hamas's advantage, and then having to deal ultimately with that threat in the north as well, but always keeping our eye on Iran itself as they keep advancing that nuclear program.
And so as long as they continue to advance their nuclear program, and that's been an obvious problem and a slap in the face to the United States, it does make the United States seem weak in the eyes of this war when you look at the power that Iran holds over Israel. What does the White House, what does our administration, first of all, need to do to change the optics here?
Well, listen, we just heard in the last couple of weeks of $10 billion being made available to Iran as part of the secret nuclear understanding that the administration is continuing today, basically opening up money spigots for Iran so that they don't advance the nuclear weapons program to a 90% enrichment threshold, which is weapons-grade uranium production. That program still advances underneath that threshold, but we're paying them basically to stay under that threshold. What does that mean right now? Look at the images coming out of Israel. Look at the horror show these families are going through, what Hamas is doing. The first thing we should do is lock down all the money for this regime in Tehran.
Totally.
We shouldn't be making 1 cent available to Tehran. Start interdicting their oil exports that are going to China. and then snap back the UN sanctions as well to ensure that there's international pressure on Iran as well. That combined with a credible military threat could actually start rolling back this threat.
No, that's an excellent point, Rich. And former National Security Advisor John Bolton talked about that ring of fire you just mentioned. Watch this.
This is the Iranian ring of fire strategy playing out. We've now seen almost 7 full weeks of Hezbollah attacking targets in northern Israel. This is all part of a larger effort. We don't know the exact dimensions of it, but the conflict is real, and it's not a Hamas versus Israel war. It's a war against one of America's closest allies, coordinated by one of our worst enemies.
One of our worst enemies, indeed. Your final thoughts?
The ambassador is correct there, and I think where we really see the administration getting this wrong, whether by design or unintentionally, we see them continuing to say, it's Putin and Hamas are two evils of the world. The president refuses to say Iran. He needs to call out Iran as part of that evil axis of the world, understanding that it's Iran pulling all the strings here. And so if you're upset about what you're seeing on the images of TV today, what Hamas has done and continues to do, make sure that we change our policy in Washington to start putting pressure on who's really pulling the strings in the Islamic Republic of Iran.
All right. Richard Goldberg, thank you so much for talking to us. We really do appreciate it.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.